I'm Liz Tisdahl, former mayor of Evanston, and I'm here today to welcome you all to another segment of People You Should Know, brought to us by the Byline Bank, the Evanston Chamber of Commerce, and the Evanston RoundTable. And with me today is Dr. Cheryl Judice, author of 2 books, philanthropist, mother, grandmother, and owner of Hecky's Ribs. Cheryl, how do you do all that?
Well, I certainly don't do all of that alone at all. When you talked about me being, yes, I am now the owner of Hecky's Barbecue with the passing of Hecky in May 2020. But we have been so blessed to have a wonderful staff and managers that have kept this place running smoothly even when Hecky was around. Our manager, Floyd Johnson, has been here all but 2 weeks since the restaurant opened. The other assistant manager, she's been here for at least 15 years. My sister-in-law, who grew up on this place, goes in and out. So I've just been very fortunate that we've had a wonderful team working at Hecky's for so long.
And the sauce is still the same?
It's still the same sauce.
Okay.
It's not manufactured in Evanston, or I'll tell you a little secret, in our garage where it was first done, but it is manufactured locally. Yeah.
Terrific.
So other than the other roles, that's just the normal life, I think, of most women. And one role you did mention that I had for probably a very long time was as a wife. Hecky was my husband. We were married nearly 36 years before his passing in May of 2020. So I enjoyed that role too.
And you teach at Northwestern. I think I left that one out.
Well, yeah, I do. I teach part-time now in the School of Education and Social Policy. I teach the practicum. Most juniors in the School of Education and Social Policy are required to take that class in order to graduate. And I really enjoy it because it's the students' first, for most of them, their first entry-level position as an internship in a career of their choosing, something that they'd like to do once they leave college. So it's quite a lot of fun.
So what brought you to Evanston and what keeps you here?
Well, I came to Evanston in July of 1975 following my graduation from Lake Forest College, where I also had a wonderful time as an undergrad. I came here to go to graduate school in sociology, and I got involved with the community, and I have loved living in Evanston. You know, you have to be here at least 30 years before they consider you an Evanstonian. I have well passed that bar. I'm almost getting close to 50 years having been here, which is just fine. But Evanston is a wonderful community. That's first of all what keeps me here. Everywhere I go, we meet nice people, I meet committed people, people that all want to do the right things, make this the best place ever. I have been privileged in my life to travel extensively, and there's actually no other place I would rather live than right here in Evanston. The size of our town makes our concerns manageable. And as I said, we have lots of people from all different parts of the community, the diversity, so on and so forth. Everybody gets an opportunity to participate, and if they want to, and I think that is wonderful. It's our special place.
I think so too. Terrific answer.
Oh, thanks.
So, how's the business since Hecky's passing and in the middle of a pandemic, trying to keep it going?
Yeah. Well, prior to Hecky's passing, we had thought that we needed to update this place. I mean, we had been here a long time, and Hecky got full value for absolutely every piece of equipment here. And we had discussed that if we were ever going to upgrade, that now would be the time. Let's get going and do something with the restaurant. And of course, following his passing, I just continued on with the plan we first had. And it's, again, we've had a wonderful community response. You know, Hecky's is kind of a landmark here in Evanston. If I didn't know it, I certainly learned it when he passed. And the outpouring of support and love is something I'll never forget. Times it was overwhelming. So, moving forward in terms of actually the business has done well, but we've lost, like so many other restaurants, a big chunk of our business because people couldn't gather. So one part of our business that I'm hoping that will return is the catering part of our business. And otherwise, things should be great.
And tell me, along with catering, you have done a great job of hiring people in Evanston to work in catering, but also to work here in the restaurant. You have always hired Evanston young people and helped them with resumes and career paths. Is all of that work still going on?
Yes. You know, that goes right, Liz, to the core of the business right from the beginning. You know, Hecky and I both came from social service backgrounds. And Hecky has adult children now that would tell him that, you know, coming from Evanston, there were certain minority kids that were not hired in jobs in downtown Evanston. And so he felt, well, if they're not being hired for restaurant positions there, we're going to take these people, young people that want to learn the business, and we hire them here. And, you know, again, he provided training, gave them their first job experience so that by the time they have been here a while, they will have acquired a skill set that will allow them to pursue yet a higher level of work, which is always the goal. You know, Hecky said, you can't stay here more than 2 years. He said, beyond 2 years, you need to have a broader experience. And so he was always pretty mindful of that fact for people that, you know, the students that or young people that worked here. So that was part of it.
Tell us a little bit about the WE program. What is that? And the Forrest Powell Foundation.
Okay. Well, the Forrest Powell Foundation started in March of 1994. And it was named after my late father-in-law, Forrest Powell, because Hecky was looking for a way to honor the kind of person he was, the work ethic he had. My father-in-law, I can tell you a little story about him. They live about 2 miles from the restaurant. And you would have thought that he had a mortgage to pay, because he was over here every morning at the crack of dawn, sometimes 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. He'd ride his bike or walk, weather permitting, and he'd come in here and he would check out the entire operation, making sure every utensil was clean and ready for the shift to come in to start preparing the food. And Hecky wanted to honor that kind of work ethic and commitment. And so once his father passed, he said, hey, you know, I want other people in the community to know what he was about. And fast forward to August of 2016, when following the model of the Evanston Scholars Program here in Evanston, which is a program designed to get first generation low-income students into college and allow them to stay. Well, we developed that same model for young people that are not interested in going to four-year universities. And we've had a lot of fun with that. Once again, the community has been very receptive to taking on young people and, you know, giving them a nice, sustainable mentored training experience. Some of the places we've had students, for example, would be like at Warren's Shell, learning auto mechanics, Evanston Auto Body, down on Dempster, Bennigan's Bakery. I'm trying to keep all my places straight. Fire department, police department, Evanston Hospital. I had no idea there are so many positions within the hospital that don't require a four-year degree but do require a certain amount of training. So all the way it's been a win-win, and we've been very fortunate again with the staff people that have managed that program. Executive Director Lynn Weiss, right now, I mean, she just does a fabulous job, and it shows.
What are the 2 books that you wrote about?
Well, you know, I was trained as a sociologist, and within that space, I primarily study interracial relationships, black-white interracial relationships, and consequently, my dissertation was on comparison and contrasting the social experiences of black women married to white men and black men married to white women. And I had a lot of fun with that. I interviewed lots of people and so on. And a publisher found it and contacted me and asked me to put it into a book. And I said, well, that would be great. Only one problem. It gets sold as an academic text. And I realized that it wouldn't be available to the broader population because it was too expensive. And primarily it's in academic libraries. So several years after that book, I said, well, I'm going to do another study, but this one is for popular publication. I want to make sure it's not expensive and people get to see it. So the second book is titled Interracial Relationships Between Black Women and White Men, because in this one, I concentrated primarily on black women who are dating, married to, or divorced from white men, as well as single white men that date black women, and to find out, what the attraction is, how those kind of relationships unfold. Because again, black women married to white men is the least common of the interracial marriage patterns.
And is that what you got your PhD in at Northwestern?
Yeah, my PhD is in sociology, but it was based on my first study. Yeah. So, again, it's something that I really enjoy doing, primarily because black women are the only group of women in the entire country that can't take for granted that if they desire to get married and have a family, that there is going to be an available black man for them, because the numbers just aren't there. From age 16 forward, black women begin to outnumber black men. The same thing does not occur for whites until around age 32. So if you're a black woman that who wants to get married, I hope that you won't put all your eggs in one basket thinking that you're Prince Charming may be black. I'm not advocating that you marry a white man or look for a white man. I'm only advocating that you look outside of the race as a part of the people you date. And I chose to look at it from the black and white point of view, because that's where you have the greatest dichotomy. It's not nearly as challenging if you're a black woman you want to marry within another ethnic group. But black and white, if these women can navigate these kind of relationships and do well, then certainly there should be someone out here for everybody.
Well, thank you very much for being with us today.
Okay.
And is there anything I've missed that you'd like to say?
Well, I think I was going to talk about our Juneteenth soda a little bit.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, the rest, again, back in 2014, Hecky felt that the Juneteenth holiday was going to become far more important in the country. He felt it would become far more significant of a holiday than it was. And so consequently, he had Juneteenth, real briefly, celebrates when the slaves in Texas learned that they were free. And this was in June of 1865. Now, slavery had ended in 1863, but without the benefit of the internet and cell phones and what have you, great big swaths of people didn't know that. So it wasn't until June of 1865 that slaves in Texas got that message. So to commemorate that event, people always eat foods that were red-based. You think of ribs, red beans and rice, red velvet cake. And so what wound up happening, Hecky said, well, how about a red soda? So he worked for the company in Chicago, developed a strawberry soda known as Juneteenth. And voila, was it last year? Now it's Juneteenth is a national holiday. I heard on the news yesterday that within the state they want to make it a paid holiday. And so it's my hope to get Juneteenth soda up and running out of the restaurant. It's currently sold at the restaurant, and Valley Produce sells it as well. But I suspect its circulation will continue to grow as this holiday is celebrated more and more.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, that is.
Thank you very much.
Well,
We appreciate you coming today.
Thank you for having me.